There are two main religious traditions in the West today: the Judaeo-Christian worldview, from which Islam is an offshoot, and Spectrumism. The Judeo-Christian worldview traditionally conceives of three entities in the world: God's people, not God's people, and God himself. Its primary concern is how to become part of God's people. Spectrumism, however, is thus called because it sees the world as a spectrum in which humans ascend towards achieving divinity. Spectrumism starts with ultimate reality. This is often called the One. The One is a bit like God, but probably not in the way you're thinking. Spectrumism claims that we cannot really say anything about the One, as it is unknowable and indescribable. So the kind of things other religions say about God, for example, that he is a person, that he is merciful and holy, one cannot say about God in Spectrumism, since it claims all you can say about the One is what it is not. Ironically, Spectrumism can say one positive thing about the One, namely that you cannot describe it. Many forms of Spectrumism describe the universe as a series of emanations or levels out of the One. A key thing to remember is that, according to Spectrumism, all things are on a spectrum, being closer to or further away from the One. Often the material, physical world is the lowest form of creation, the furthest from the divine. The mind, that is the non-physical part of creation, is regarded as superior. For Spectrumism, the One overflowed into creation in the emanations. The first emanation from the One is mind, known in Spectrumism as nous. Nous is more than just mind in general, it is a mind. In many versions of Spectrumism, the overflowing of the One involved lots of little nouses emanating outwards. These are often referred to as shards of the divine. Spectrumism teaches that these shards are trapped or imprisoned, prevented from returning back to the One, which is their destiny. More about that in a minute. These shards are in the human soul, which means Spectrumism sees the destiny of humans to move up the spectrum back towards the One. This means to increase in godlikeness, that is, to increase in power, knowledge, autonomy, etc. According to Spectrumism, the human race is split into two groups, the sleepers and the awakened. What divides them is the Morpheus line, named after the character Morpheus from the movie The Matrix. In the movie, Morpheus offers the main character Neo a choice: to take the blue pill and remain in ignorance, or to take the red pill and acquire knowledge of how the world really is. Notice that the area of the triangle below the Morpheus line is larger than the area above it. That's because Spectrumism maintains that the number of elite red-pilled people is always less than the vast swathes stuck in ignorance. The awakened are those who have taken the red pill of Spectrumism. The decision to see the world from a spectrumist perspective gives someone gnosis. This is the Greek word for knowledge, but it is qualitatively different to the kind of knowledge possessed by the sleepers who have not crossed over the Morpheus line. They have not just acquired more knowledge than the sleepers who remain trapped in ignorance. The awakened have rather gained a different kind of knowledge, a knowledge which they did not have before, a knowledge which has revealed to them that the world is very different to the way they thought of it while they were still a sleeper. The awakened have acquired a nous way of seeing the world. But the sleepers are still stuck in a logos way of seeing the world. Logos is Greek for word, and it's where we get our word logic. Sleepers are stuck in the world of logic, where 2 + 2 = 4, and where the law of non-contradiction applies. For example, the same person can't be both President of China and not President of China at the same time. However, according to Spectrumism, the awakened have ascended into gnosis, which is a higher way of seeing the world, in which the rules below the Morpheus line no longer apply. This is because the person who believes in the religion of Spectrumism is on their way up the spectrum, back towards the One, where all distinctions are dissolved. Indeed, the end goal for Spectrumism is where everyone and perhaps everything is absorbed into a perfect, unified whole. Let's return to the idea of imprisonment. According to Spectrumism, there is a person, or worldview, which has imposed imprisoning barriers on the human race. Some forms of Spectrumism give this the name the demiurge. The barriers prevent people from ascending back up towards the One. These barriers are ways of thinking which keep people trapped in the lower regions of the triangle. Let's look at an example of such a barrier. Spectrumism often says that it is a barrier to ascending that people believe in the idea of objective truth, that is, truth that exists independently of human minds. Spectrumism says that such an idea is fine for sleepers, but ascending means crossing over that barrier and leaving such a belief behind. The problem is that believing in truth is a way of thinking which is hard to break. Spectrumism therefore involves what we might call a disruption beam. This is a technique used to convince oneself and others that the barrier is an illusion. In this, Spectrumism works a kind of sorcery, whose aim is an increase of power over other people. Let's return to the idea of objective truth. The disruption beam used to dissolve this way of thinking takes a number of forms. Spectrumism might say, the idea of objective truth is just a Western construct, or no intelligent people believe in the idea of objective truth anymore, or the idea of objective truth is only a tool for oppression, etc., etc. If the person in question convinces themselves and enough others that there is no objective truth, then they free themselves from that constraint and are able to move up the triangle, which, remember, is to increase in godlikeness, that is, to increase in power, knowledge, autonomy, etc. Spectrumism justifies this as an increase in freedom from the constraints of the demiurge towards reunion with the One. But practically speaking, it is a way of ensuring other people do not have power over you to limit your own desires. Let's say you want to be a cat. A person still trapped in ignorance and enthralled to the demiurge can always come along and say, "It's not objectively true that you are a cat." You can then respond, but there's no such thing as objective truth. If enough people stop believing in objective truth, that barrier no longer holds you back from achieving your destiny to fully live out your catness with nobody ever questioning it. Next time, we'll look at some specific instances of Spectrumism. Thanks for watching.